connection starts from the inside. I'm going to share with you a story. There were two individuals who were given a garden. The first person that was given a garden, out of excitement, went right away, and he traveled all over to try to convince people to come and see his new garden. He traveled for miles and miles and miles. Finally, he convinced one person to come and see this garden that he has. It took quite a while, but they finally arrived. And when they arrived, there was nothing there but a pile of dirt. The person that he brought with him turned and said to him, "Thank you for wasting my time." And he left. Now the second person that was given a garden went immediately and started working on that garden. He started planting and sowing seeds of plants, vegetables, fruits, fruit trees. He put everything he could in there. He also put a lake in there, and he was just enjoying his garden. In the towns nearby, there were people coming back and forth, and people started to notice from miles away this garden, and they started telling their friends. Another person told another person, and before long, they were creating a lot of places and opportunities for community to happen. Playgrounds, there were benches, and before long, the entire place became a community for everyone to enjoy. Why am I sharing with you this story? Well, because I was that first person. I was the person walking around, running around everywhere, trying to convince everyone that I was enough, and that what I had mattered, and that who I am matters. You see, we live in a society where there's societal pressures that try to tell us that what we have is not enough. And if what we have is not enough, then we have to go around and convince others that we have what societal pressures thinks we should have, and that we are what societal pressures think we need to be. You see, this hit a stopping point for me at the point where I started to let other people tell me what relationships I should be in. I actually let people tell me that I should be with this one person. And I was with her only because other people told me I should be with her. At that point, I had this feeling. And that feeling was, Jeremy, is this what you really want? And at that point, I started to realize I have a navigation device inside of me. That navigation device inside of me is what I call vision. A vision of who I am and a vision of who I want to be. You see, my story doesn't start from the outside in. My story starts from the inside out. So I started to connect with this voice, this vision, this garden inside of me, and I started working at the soil of my life. At that point, I started to see that there is a lot there that I can start focusing, and I started writing down my vision, started making it very plain and very simple. I started to write down who I am and who I want to be. What am I passionate about? What are the things that I really care about, the things that matter to me in my life? I started to become like that second man in the garden who started to just work on the garden and discover the rich soils inside and seeing what could grow out from that garden. Fast forward to March 2020. Most of you, if not all of you, understand the context. The pandemic hit. And a chaplain friend of mine who worked at a retirement community was telling me about older adults who were literally dying from social isolation and loneliness. Social isolation and loneliness has negative health effects equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. When I heard about this, I decided to do something. I just wanted to do something. So I developed an intergenerational program that connected university students in healthcare fields with older adults who felt socially isolated and alone. They started meeting virtually and over the phone once a week, now in person. And after that, the older adult is given a legacy book to reinforce that their story matters, and their story is one to be told, and that they matter too. It was interesting that I had the opportunity to do this because I was just working on my garden. I just wanted to do something that helped other people feel connected. Social connection is one of those that is at the cusp and at the foundation of healthcare. Social connection and connecting people with what matters in their life is at the foundation of healthcare. So I discovered that all I have to do is focus on my garden. And it doesn't stop there. The University of North Dakota and Department of Geriatrics heard about what I was doing. And then I was hired as geriatrics professor at the University of North Dakota. I didn't plan that. It just happened. It happened because I was working on my garden. I was simply trying to help people feel this sense of connection from the inside out that I was feeling. Now I know that I don't need society, even though it's important to get advice from people. At the end, I need to have a connection here first. So I don't need society to dangle a carrot in front of me. I already have the carrot inside, and so do all of you. As a matter of fact, I have more than 24 carrots inside my garden, and so do you. So I want to remind all of us and ask the question, are you working on your garden? The garden is our life. It's our life. It's the vision for our life. What do we want to be? How do we want to help people? Because when we start helping people and when we start helping ourselves, that's us working on our garden. Staying connected, and by working on our garden, that's the way that we can help create something amazing. When you're working on your garden, you're working on your story. When you're sharing your garden, you're sharing your story. And when you're sharing your story and sharing your garden, you're creating community. And when we create community, that's when people start to feel less isolated. They stop feeling as alone, and they start feeling more connected. And when we start feeling more connected, then we start being a rich community, inside, outside, together. Thank you.